No. Oh, just kidding. I'm kidding.
She got your eye.
Is it red?
Her eye is in the picture.
Hi, hello, how are you? Greetings and welcome to our final band concert of the year. Before we get going, just a couple of house rules and house policy, and actually I'm going to make sure mine's off too. Please make sure you turn off your cell phone or put it off in silent mode. These things have worked really hard all year in this quarter for what you're about to see, and we don't want to ruin it with our own music. With that being said, let's go ahead and start. This is the 7th grade band. The 7th grade band has had a great year. This is going to be our Pops concert. The first tune we're going to do is a medley from the first Star Wars trilogy. Well, that was fun. And thank you to Mrs. Philpott for letting us have her twin girls, Darth Vader and Rey, so that was pretty fun. Yeah! So before we conclude the 7th grade portion, the band in front of you got to go to the Gilbert District Honor Festival, or Band Festival in March, where they did awesome. They played for 3 judges, and they received a superior with distinction, which means all 3 judges gave them a superior, which is the highest ranking they could get. The next tune is a march by E. Bagley. This is the national emblem. We're going to go ahead and transition into 8th grade. Just so you know, we do have a 50-50 raffle going on, and we'll go on for about 1 minute more. Once the 8th grade starts snakes here in about 5 minutes. I guess I'm kind of saying different things. But we have about 5 more minutes for the 50-50 raffle, so make sure that you get in it right now if you want to get into it. Last time I heard it's about at $200. So make sure you get in on the 50-50 raffle. 8th grade, come on up. Great. I want to give some shout outs to 8th grade before we begin their portion of the concert. 8th grade also had a busy festival season. They did not one but 2 festivals. They also went to the Gilbert District Band Festival, where they received a superior distinction as well, a superior from all 3 judges. As well as they got to go to the next week, the following week, to the Aboda Concert Festival, which is the Arizona Band and Orchestra Directors Association, where they received a superior, so they got a superior from 2 judges and an excellent from 1. And they got a superior from the 2 judges that were better judges. So they were very upset that they got a superior, but I told them not to worry about it because they sounded great. They sound like a superior distinction band to me. So give them a round of applause for their superior. All right, the first song we're going to do is Snakes. I have Jace behind me. He's going to tell you a little bit more about it.
Snakes is a short piece of program music which explores different sounds which one might associate with different snakes. Big snakes, little snakes, cute snakes, writhing piles of snakes, swaying cobras, and dangerous snakes are all represented throughout. After an introduction which hints of hissing and other dangerous potential of snakes, the rattlers in the percussion section are joined by an overlay of melodies. One of the melodies resembles the tune with the Indian snake charmer enticing the swaying cobra from the wicker basket. The most comical timpani line is suggestive of the slow-moving boa constrictor. Rapid bursts of chromatic grunts bring to mind coiled snakes which strike without warning. The piece ends with a section of writhing tendrils of sounds, the snake pit, and a brief recapitulation to the catchy melody and rhythm of the snake charmer's cobra.
it's already on. Cool. So the next piece we're going to do, I have brought in a special visitor. I don't know if he's around. Eric, if you'd like to start making your way slowly to the stage. Before we totally introduce the piece, I did want to give out a couple different awards. I give awards at the end of the concert to 8th grade and the jazz band. 7th grade, there'll be awards for you next year if you stay in. Cool. The first award I'd like to do is for most improved. And these, I know sometimes students put this as like an insult. It's really not. Actually, I think the most improved is actually the best award to get. I remember as a sophomore, I received a most improved award in sophomore year because I was replacing the high school band director's kid on bass, and it was like a really hard freshman year, and I put him in, like, could barely read bass clap, and he had like a full ride at Roosevelt College, and so it was a very hard first year, and I put in the work. And so the most improved doesn't mean you stunk and now you're decent. It's you put in the work. It's very noticeable and really leaps and bounds a lot more than maybe some other people. And honestly, when I was doing these most improved, this is the one that I think is honestly the best award to receive. So our first most improved award goes to Logan Emery. The next tune I'm going to give one to, I actually owe a certificate. I think I made one and forget to hit print on this one. But this student started out on a different instrument, has switched, and I think actually probably like goes to sleep with this instrument. He's always carrying, I'm just going to give it away, always carrying this French horn around. If it's not mine, then it's his, and it's just like, he's like the geekiest French horn kid in the world. So, Micah, I owe you a certificate, but most important too is moving on to outstanding musicianship. This was pretty hard. There's been a few of them that were really awesome, and when we went to festival, like some of the judges were actually trying to recruit these kids and offer them like Nicki Minaj tickets and offer them pizza. That's an actual quote, by the way. I'm not making that up. So this first one, it's always awesome to have French horn players. It's always awesome to have 3 French horn players, and it's always awesome to have 3 French horn players that can actually play the right notes. So that's pretty cool. And this one has just been totally awesome. Just sounds super mature, like a high school French horn player. And we'll probably be City All-State horn one of these days very soon. Please give a round of applause to Suzanne Sawyer. And this next one is a clarinet player, and she had a solo, I already gave it away, but she had a solo where we had this nice, slow Irish tune, and the judges looked at the tune and said, wow, that's amazing. So our outstanding musician number 2 is Bailey Ekstrom. That we're going to do is the section of the year. This one was hard. I had about 3 different sections in mind, and they would have all worked. I decided to go with this one section because there'd be times when sometimes I play the clarinet to model something, sometimes I play the trumpet to model something, sometimes I just sing it. I found myself being like, you know what, this section, why don't you guys just play? This is how I want it. You're doing a great job. So our section of the year this year is the trumpets. Trumpet section. next guest. So this is the second year we've done this, but the first year for 8th grade concert band. Last year we commissioned a song for jazz band, and I want to give a big thanks before we introduce this to the band boosters who have allowed me to bring in guests, who have allowed me to commission new music, and that way we can share new music with the whole band community. I really think it's a super cool and super gratifying thing to get to pick a composer, they get to work with the students, and that way they get to share it. This next person who composed this song is near and dear to my heart. I used to take clarinet lessons from this person in Illinois in high school, and he's probably the most cool, laid back, best personality people that I know. Eric Mandad has been a pioneer of clarinet music, new clarinet music, with new techniques, everything from playing 2 notes, multiphonics for on the clarinet, to playing in between notes and coming up with always weird and interesting new ways to play the instrument. And he wrote us a tune that he's going to tell you a little bit more about.
Thank you very much. This piece is called Foxes, Dragons, and Leprechauns. And it's based on 4 British Isles folk songs. So at the beginning, you'll hear the band is getting the dance floor warmed up. And then you start to hear the crowd, a lot of action, and the flutes take it with the first of the folk tunes called Ricketts Hornpipe. And that's carried around all of the woodwinds throughout that whole piece, and it finishes with the highest and the lowest instruments playing a nice little counterpoint together, and then the bells signal a change to the second tune, which is the oldest known Welsh folk tune called Pais Dinogad, and it is 1,500 years old. And the original song is a lullaby. The mother is singing to her son about his father's prowess at hunting. And so as this tune progresses, the little boy falls asleep and starts to dream of his father on his epic hunting adventures. And that scene drifts away and it moves into another Irish song called A Fig for a Kiss. And that finishes up with one last fast Irish song called Off She Goes. I want to thank the musicians in the band. They're just amazing performers and just amazing people. And I want to thank also Brian for having the vision to make new music a part of what this scene is all about here. And I definitely want to thank all of you for making it possible for these musicians to have this kind of experience, to be the first ones in the world to play a piece, and nobody can take that away from them. Everybody else who plays the piece is going to have to match this standard, and it's a high standard indeed, and so I'm really excited about that. And finally, the whole musical experience through bands and choirs and orchestras is a great parallel to good citizenry in life. We are all doing our best. We shine when appropriate. We give way to others when needed. And we all celebrate and work together for the good of the entire community. And what happens is really harmonious things. Thank you very much.
we don't just go to Disneyland, we actually do a workshop. And the way the workshop works is they have about an hour and a half and they sight read new music. They've never seen the music before, it's always Disney music, it's stuff that lines up with the animation. Always the first song they do is a song from Lion King, like at the very end of Lion King when Simba is taking the throne, and they show them the animation without the sound, and it's just kind of boring, there's no emotion to it or anything. And then they ask them like, what kind of song they think they should be. It's like, oh, majestic, because it says majestically on my music and things like that. So they sight read it for the first time. It's totally horrible. Wrong notes, they don't read the key signature, they don't read the time signature, and it's completely a mess. And then he works with them for 15, 20 minutes, and then they put together the actual animation. They put Disney magic, which is drums and strings and keyboards and singers and all kinds of stuff. And then they get to see their product put to the actual animation. So we have 4 clips that we put together from our Disneyland trip that I wanted to show you. Before we do this, there are some house rules so I don't get sued. Disney has asked you, you cannot take any video of this, you cannot take any photography of this, and I can't share this with you, so this is the one time I can share this with you, kind of. But I'm going to do it anyway. Cool? So, here we go. Our jazz band. The jazz band has been requesting songs all year, so this is going to be a little bit of a TRL, or a Total Request Live. The first song they requested is a weather report song. This is Birdland. we're going to brag on these guys a little bit because they haven't been bragged on enough lately. So about a month ago too, we did a festival over at Highland High School that's also sponsored by ASU, where they competed not only for ratings as they do for the other ones like Superior, Excellent, Good, but they also did rankings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These guys did not only the first overall place in the junior high bracket, but there was also about 45 different bands, high school, community, and then junior high, elementary bands. They were the first overall and the judges' most outstanding band from the whole 3-day competition. So, give them a round of applause. The other side of that was about April 15th, and so these 3 songs that they're playing tonight is not from that festival. They are brand new tunes, so they've had about maybe 3 weeks with me to learn it. So not very much time. We've had about less than a month for that. So the next tune we're going to do is Birdland. Or sorry, we just did that. The next song we're going to do is Summertime because it's perpetually summer here. And we have about 6 soloists we're going to feature. I'd be remiss if I didn't actually say who soloed the last tune. So stand up or wave if I say your name. On the last tune, we had Billy Ekstrom on tenor sax. We have Colin Sherrington on the trumpet. We have Jonah Steck on the other saxophone. And we have Jesse Deans on the trumpet. And here comes Summertime. have some jazz band awards. Jazz band, I apologize. I didn't make them out here. I still remember who they are. You will pick up your certificate tomorrow in the classroom. However, let's still introduce them. Let's start with most improved. This is honestly, I didn't know who to give it to, so I decided to give it to both of these guys that play the same instrument, and I probably just gave it away. I remember at the very beginning of the year, basically, in order for a jazz band to groove, you have to have really two instruments, really knowing what they're doing: drums and bass. And if you don't have those two things, it's really hard to get through like two measures, one measure, and that's kind of where we're at the beginning of the year. We were trying to do CJM blues, and we got about a measure and a half in, and it's like, okay guys, you gotta put some elbow grease into it. And now we're like running full tunes from sight reading. It's great, and they're grooving back there. We've got one on stand-up and one on electric, and they switch off, and they're just awesome people. Now we can play anything because our bass and drums are both rocking. So let's give a big, I'll introduce them both at the same time. Big round of applause to our most improved bass section, William Anderson and Keith Moore. Okay, on to outstanding musician, outstanding jazz musician. So the first one I'd like to give, I'm going to give two of these out. They're already like guessing over there, I can hear them. You're going to really hear this person for a long period of time, and he's very vital to our next tune, Working. And listening to the Jazz tapes, I think they were about ready to hire this musician out as a drummer for their colleges. Like they brought in college jazz band directors, and like, wow, there's some like really good setups and fills, and you're helping the horns out. They don't have to count. And he's been great this year. So give a big round of applause to Nick Ayers. Someone came in and asked him the other day, like, "Oh yeah, who do you study with? You sound great." He's like, "Man, I just listened to a bunch of jazz recordings. I just listened to Buddy Rich, like Mr. Mabry told me to." So that's pretty cool. It's glad when that works. Okay, the next one you've heard him solo throughout all year. You've heard him solo in the last couple of tunes. You're going to hear him one more time. I don't know. I tell the people like this is the freak. We lock this one up in a cage during the day, and we feed him like raw chunks of meat, and he devours it. He's like, "Thank you. Can I have one more?" And then he just like wails on the trumpet. So he's our little Maynard Ferguson. Give another round of applause to Jesse Deans. And unlike most trumpet players, he's like the nicest young man too. It's great. Cool. All right. So one of the tunes they selected. So when they were selecting songs, like we want to do Birdland. I'm like, that's fine. We can make that work. We want to do Summertime. All right. Cool. That's fine. We want to do Sing, Sing, Sing. And I had to think about that, and I was talking to people that have heard them, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not going to do it, they're junior high. They're like, no, let them do it. We've heard them, let them do it, they're freaks. So I was like, okay. Their words, not mine. I was like, okay, cool. And they worked at it, and I was like, you know what, if it works, I'll put it out there, and if not, we'll play two tunes. You're going to hear we play it twice a day at Rather Rec. I think it works. And it's cool because I play in a big band too. I play bass with this community group, and I'm the youngest person by like a good 30 years, maybe 40 years. And, they're like a bunch of engineers. It's great. And we play the exact same arrangement that they play. We're playing that tonight. I think they do a better job than we do. Anyway. Cool. So let's get going. Sing, sing, sing. This is our last number.